rolling.
Welcome back to the Get Louder podcast. We have a very special guest, an SEO specialist, Brian Hansen.
He is the owner of Rocket Pilots. That's right. We got Brian Hansen in the house. How we doing, baby? How you doing? Good to see you, man.
Doing fantastic. Appreciate you guys, man.
Yes,
Thanks for
sir.
having me on.
Yeah, thanks for
intro.
coming.
I didn't expect
Always
it.
got to come with the energy, you know?
That's right.
Awesome, man. We're glad to have you here.
So Brian is an SEO specialist, an SEO mastermind. And what I love about Brian, he niched down to helping attorneys, and not just any attorney, just a select lucky few. Why don't you?
Who are these lucky few?
Who are these lucky few? Give us a little bit of information on
Yeah,
that.
let's talk about it. And it's the conversation of niching down or niching up, really, however you want to put it, is always fun to me. So yeah, I mean, like you guys said, we're vertically focused on attorneys. We mostly work with PI attorneys, and we can peel that onion back a little bit about why. But we also service criminal defense firms, family law, a little bit of immigration. But yeah, we certainly have what we call an ICP, an ideal client profile.
Yeah.
And happy to elaborate. And it's a certain makeup. And you know what? It's not really in the spirit of self-interest, right? We've identified a certain criteria where we know our clients are going to win and make a lot of money. And hey, that's what we're here to do. We're here to overserve them and make sure they're successful.
Overserve. I like
Overserve. I love that. Over deliver.
That's right.
So give us a little backstory on how you came up with ICP, right?
Sure, yeah.
How did you come up with this client profile?
Well, first you got to get the black eyes along the way, right? So it's like, what is working, right? And you figure out, the product line and then who you want to serve, right? So it was just, trial and error over the years. And we just did the exercise, right? We looked back.
Right.
Who is performing the best and what criteria do they fit into, right? What are their character traits, right? And then we just kind of authored it. And now when we're prospecting, when we're doing our outbound, we only go after firms that meet the criteria because we know if they hire us, we're going to do a good job, right? And they're going to be happy, right? So, and running an agency is just a whole lot more fun when your clients are happy and they speak highly of you behind your back and they refer you. So, right? So, yeah.
And that's the beauty of niching down. It's
niching up.
Yeah, or niching up, right?
That's how you word it.
Yeah, it's not just about, it makes it like, you get your sales process down, but it also refines your product and your service. You get so much better at providing a great result and an effective result for your clients. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And
Yeah.
that's why, like, when I hear today, agency owners will be like, oh, we're a full service agency. I'm like, I'm kind of just laughing. I'm like, what do you mean? You know how many products there are to offer from a digital marketing perspective?
Tons.
And I think about us and I'm like, geez, we're not. We're narrow, right? It's like, yeah, we have our product line, but like what we're really good at is local SEO, right? So getting our clients to show up on the top of Google Maps, right? Because we know we've done the reporting exercise, right? Where we have them showing up for LSAs, we're doing the PPC, they're ranking in maps, we're doing the traditional organic, and guess where most of the cases are coming from? They're coming from maps. So we focus on what works, and we just keep doing it over and over again.
Man, that's so true. I mean, for me personally, maps, like if I Google a company or whatever and I scroll down, my eyes immediately go to the map. It's just so much easier to look at because first of all, I'm like, I want to go somewhere that's closer to me. So I'm looking at like where the businesses are in comparison to where I live.
That's right.
First of all, and then it just makes it so much easier. And then you have those 3 on top, right, with the reviews and the stars, and you see right there, and it's like, chances are I'm picking one of those top 3.
And this comes down to understanding the clients of your clients, right? And what I mean by that is like if you take the, the stereotypical person who, let's say they were in a car accident, right? We know what that person does. I mean, some of it has to do with their background and whether the community is affluent and they're more prone to work their network, right? But if you take the individual that goes to the internet, most of the time they pull out their cell phone, they do a relevant search, and they do what Brandon said, right? They go, oh, maps, these people are close to me. I can see their reviews. They have a good review profile. So before I've even clicked through, right, they have credibility with me.
Right.
Sometimes they call from right there.
Right.
Sometimes they click the listing and go to the website, do a little bit more due diligence, right? So, yeah, I mean, it takes time for agency owners to figure these things out, but when they do, they should really just focus on what works for their clients and not try to do too much.
Yeah.
What about like if I type in something, even as specific as I type it into Google, there's always that 2 or 3 sponsored
At the top.
top, and I always find myself almost clicking them before but now I'm like trained to like, okay, is this actual website I was looking for?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to do with that as well?
Yeah, so I think this is a good time to just kind of like break down the search engine results page, right? And we're doing that today, and it will be different tomorrow, right? Because everything moves quickly. But at the very, very top, you have local service ads, what we call LSAs. And these are sponsored ads, but the reason they're interesting is it's a pay-per-lead model, right? So as an alternative to, Google built their business on the backs of PPC or Google Ads, which is pay-per-click, right? So first you have the LSAs. Attorneys like it because it's pay-per-lead. It's easy to model that. It's easy to get to, the cost per case acquisition and things like that. But like Jeremiah said, some people kind of know, right? Even though it's subtle and they try to make it native and have it blend in, we all kind of know that it's a sponsored ad, right? So, and that's why whether it's LSAs or PPCs, PPC ads have always gotten less clicks than the traditional organic, right? Because we're kind of more conditioned as humans to click on those organic listings,
Right.
And we know that Maps is performing better than organic right now, at least for our niche. But to answer your question, yes, we have a lot to do with that. A lot of it comes down to budget, right? But we want our clients to be all over the search engine results page.
Yeah.
So we want them on LSAs, we want them on PPC, we want them on Maps, we want them having content ranking on the traditional organic. Because if you show up everywhere, then you're going to look like a smart choice to the consumer, right?
And it's funny, when I found out about how much some of these keywords cost, especially for attorneys. And then I kind of like blanketed that across all businesses. So when I see the paid and then I see the same, it's like sometimes see the same exact link, right? The sponsored, and then the organic is the same exact company.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not clicking on the paid one because I don't want them to have to pay that shit. I feel bad. I'm I don't want you to pay $150 just for me to click that when I could just click your regular website.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah, you're like, fuck these guys.
It's not even that. I click it just because it's already there. I'm like, all right, there you go. I'm not going to scroll down and click. It's already there. I'm going to click
sometimes
that.
I can see, you can see both at the same time.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
You're a very sensitive consumer.
Yeah,
Not
I'm like,
everybody
that
is
sucks,
thoughtful.
bro.
That's nice of you.
But I guess that's a question I do wonder, though. If I type in someone's actual business name as opposed to, personal injury attorney, I type in like the actual law firm, and I see a sponsored ad with the law firm, and then I see the organic search. Do they still pay on that sponsor one, even if I searched for their name?
Yeah, so good question. So they do, but Google knows that they own that domain and that's their brand.
Right.
So they get that click a lot cheaper. Now, this is kind of a bigger conversation because, there's some like ethical arguments here because the reason they're doing that is because their competitors are bidding on their name. We call that conquesting campaigns. Yeah, well, it is
strategy.
A lot of people think that Google should not allow that.
Right.
But they do. Right. So what we tell clients is, when we first take on a client, we'll do a branded search, right? And we're doing it for several reasons. We'll review the search engine results page. First thing we're looking for, what does their brand look like? Is it uniform? Did they do a name change? Do they have, an old address showing, right? Because there's going to be all these listings. So we want to get that nice and tidy, right? But one thing we're looking for is if their competitors are bidding on their name.
How do you find that out?
Well, we do the search, and then if we see, an ad come up and it's, a competing business.
Gotcha.
Right. So then we tell them, listen, if you're not running PPC, this is kind of an emergency. At the bare minimum, we need to get an ad campaign going up
on your
with
name.
You bidding on your own name. Right. So at least you can outrank them. And then if you want to get into, bidding on keywords, we can have that conversation. Right. But yeah.
Recently, Google changed Google changed the way they do ads. I think it's like Google 3.0 or something like that. The ad, am I correct?
Keep going. I'm not.
Man, I completely
So-
forgot the name. It's like
No, you're fine.
the way you advertise on Google has completely changed. I heard. I heard they have like the Google Ads 3.0 or something like that. I could be completely wrong, completely butchering the name. But how has the landscape changed with Google Ads in the last, and SEO in general, in the last, let's just say like 3 years? A lot has changed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Difficult to summarize because they're always having what they call core algorithm updates. There's actually been more recently this year than there typically would be. So yeah, it's always kind of changing. LSAs have honestly only been out for lawyers for a few years, right? So that added a whole different element.
So you mean it was available to other types of businesses, but now
yeah,
only
exactly.
What is that? Is that like a legal thing?
I think it's just Google rolling out
it
their
out
product and
slowly,
trying to do
yeah.
it right in a thoughtful manner, and as they do it in other industries, garnering feedback and improving, imperfections and things like that. So I think when the LSAs came out, that was, those that were quick to react to it, boom, they were up there. It was a new source of business. Now, like anything, everyone is doing it.
Right.
Everyone that cares about their business, so it's a bit more saturated.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to join that party now, you can have some problems with visibility. And I also have really seen that trend, especially for our PI attorneys in local, right? So I think you have a lot of SEO agencies that didn't pick up on that, right? And they're still trying to put all their efforts into, ranking in the traditional organic, where
Right.
the change was to reprioritize, right, and focus on everything that goes into local. So comprehensive Google business profile optimizations, right? Citations, sponsorship links, right? Practice area, location pages, things like that. So yeah, to me that was like, there's been a lot of changes, but that one stood out because it kind of changed how we do business.
What are some of the top things that Google ranks the highest now as far as like online assets? Like what does Google look at now as like the most relevant things you could have online to have you show up high in search?
Yeah, so I would say like the most common answer you'll get from that, and I'm kind of going to give you a little bit of a different one, is content, right? Everybody's like, content is king, is king, but it's so easy to like misinterpret what that means, right? So we're always doing these market assessments or audits for clients. And what we see is like loads of content being created, but it wasn't really done thoughtfully, right? So every time you produce a piece of content, whether that's a blog, an interpage, a video, you should do it with intention. What is the reason we're producing this piece of content, right? So it's not like I did 20 blogs last month and that's more than this other SEO company did, so I'm gonna rank better. Well, rank for what?
Right.
What did you write about? Do you have link budgets for each one? Do people actually search that, right? So, we have literally probably audited hundreds of Google business profiles. And I can tell you, in every single audit we do, it's very rare where I'm like, that profile was perfect. There's always room for improvement, right? So for me, I think even though it's rudimentary, to do it properly isn't, right? So when we're talking about local, it's like just going insane and putting the work in on the Google business profile, and then get creative, right? Like everybody is link building, but what are you doing to show Google that you really have those location signals, right? So that's where, we get creative and we source opportunities in the community for our clients to sponsor these organizations, right? And think about it. It's like, this is a win all around. First of all, you're going to do some good in the community, right? So you're going to get that heartwarming, feel-good moment, right? You actually did some good. Second of all, it's going to help your business, right? These are links that your competitors probably do not have, and it's going to play a contributing factor in ranking your website locally, which is what we care about, right? And then, yes, content, but it's being very thoughtful about that content, right? So are you going into a new location? Great. What location pages do you need? Are you going to use that location page on your Google business profile for that location as the main URL, right? Things like this, right? So hopefully that's better than the run-of-the-mill content and links.
It's definitely it's definitely a lot though. It seems I mean, it's like complex, you know, and there's a lot of ways there's a lot of ways to skin this cat and get it done.
So you're right, and I think that's the problem with a lot of agencies, right? Is they know they need to do content and link building, some of these things we're talking about, but they don't know how to focus it, right? Like remember, back to the objective. If we want to rank locally, this is what we need to do, right? If we're looking for eyeballs on social media, all right, well, that's great, but that's something different, right? Because if your video goes viral, there's going to be tons of value from that, but just know that was your objective. That was your objective when you wrote the scripts, right? When you delivered it with the messaging, everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's back to that intention, I think.
How much does social media help with SEO, or does it help at all even?
Well, it's not necessarily like linear, right? When you talk about like social media efforts to like ranking, but it's omni-channel marketing, right? So it's like if you're gonna have a mature SEO plan, I mean, it's great to complement that with the creative social media marketing plan, right? So I also think like, you know, your more diligent consumer, you know, they're gonna do a little bit of homework on you, right? So they might be checking out your socials, they might be doing some branded searches or checking out your YouTube or your IG, right? They wanna just know that you're an active and credible business, right? So I think often people are thinking like, well, they're going to find me on social, then they're going to go to my site, right, and then convert. Sure, that may be true, but they might also just poke around, right, about the brand. So then they're poking around your socials, and you know, to have active accounts with followers and things like that. These are these little data points that help build social proof, credibility.
Now, is there any like so we know when you want to rank your website. That's the goal. Get people onto your website. How much value would it be also, like you have your website, but also getting your Instagram ranked right below your website so people can go on there and poke around, like you said, and like, and if you have a good social media plan, then people could go on there and really see the value and who you are and what your company is about, and then go back to the website. You know? So really doing your due diligence and your research when looking for the right attorney for you.
Exactly. No, it's a good question. So it's important, but to me, that ties back to like the branded searches, right? So someone does that. Remember, we talked about it at the beginning, right? If you take a look at a brand's appearance on the web before they've put any work into it, right? Are there consistencies, right? Are there things that need to be worked on, right? And then you've kind of sorted that out, right? And then when you do that branded search, to your point, you know, okay, now everything looks uniform. I can find your Instagram, your TikTok, whatever. It was easy for me to get to those, and it just, you know, in the consumer's mind, you're building this credibility, right? So you don't have to put a ton of effort into like ranking those, right? It's more just, you know, doing some basic optimizations on those profiles. They give you description boxes and things like that.
Right.
And then for a branded search, it should be pretty easy to find them. Yeah.
So like, I think I know what you're getting at too. So like, let's say I'm an attorney and I start putting out content and my pages are popping off, right? I got tons of followers on Instagram. My TikTok is going crazy, but I rarely touch my website. I haven't done anything with my Google business page. It's there, but I don't ever go to it. But my socials are popping.
Yeah.
If somebody types in my name on Google, what's going to show up? Is my social media just going to pop up right there under my name? Or like, how does that, what is the direct link? If you didn't do all that work connecting, what is the direct link?
Yeah, I mean, so Google understands all these signals, right, that are related to your brand. Right. So some of them are really simple. They're called citations, which is a fancy marketing name for like a business listing. And some of them have, you would call it your NAP, you know, your name, address, your phone number, your name, address, phone number, and the URL. Some of them are like these unstructured citations where they don't necessarily have all of that information, but they have like a mention of the name of the business, right? So if you look at it from that perspective, really these are just a bunch of citations, right? Like Instagram is like a listing of your business. Facebook is like a listing of your business. Now, some of them carry more weight than others, right? So if it's some chintzy little directory and you do a branded search, you might find it, but it might be on page 5, right? Whereas like Instagram, IG, TikTok, and then when we talk about lawyers, right, all these like heavy hitting platforms like FindLaw, Thomas Reuters companies, Justia, Avo, all that stuff, you're going to see them, right? So you only have so much control over what order. So if your like goal is like, I want the IG to show above Justia, well, you know, these sites are going to have different authorities and stuff like that. So, so really the goal is just to make sure that they are all very presentable, right? They all look awesome. You've done the work and you've gone in there and you've made some of these little optimizations. And that could be as simple as just like a little bio, right? Just talking a little bit about the company. When we're doing it on the directors and stuff, you know, of course we're SEO nerds, so we're you know, we're putting keywords in there and stuff like that. But yeah, just, you know, brand uniformity.
How important are blogs in
These days.
2023?
I'm glad you asked me that because I mean it depends. Like, you know, some of the SEO community is gonna like overvalue them, right?
Yeah.
It's just I see it all the time, and it's like, again, it's back to like this service that they've productized. Right? Or no, I should. Yeah, sure.
Well, like the articles. Is that difference between blog and article at this point?
No, they're the same, right?
Okay.
But I feel like there's these companies, right? They have like these packages, right? And it's like they haven't put in the legwork to like figure out what's going on in the market and figure out like a bespoke scope of work, right? For the client, they're just like, hey, package A has 5 blogs, package B has 7 blogs.
Right.
All right, again, like, you know, back to the intention. What are we trying to do here, right? So it's like they vary in the degree of value, right? Let's just like, I'll paint a picture. Let's say that they're doing really good for like these bottom of funnel keywords, right? They're ranking in maps for like these high intent keywords, right? Car accident lawyer, truck accident lawyer, criminal defense attorney near me, things like that, right? And they're like, all right, well, we want to expand our SEO efforts, right? We want to look into these like long tail keywords where people are doing research. What's an example? I don't know. What is the average settlement for a concussion after a car accident? Oh, okay, we just got into like 8 words, right? Like someone might be going through that, right? And they might want to connect with some content. Oh, okay. Well, let's do the work, right? Are there searches for it? How competitive is it? What is Google showing, right? Look at the search engine results page. Is Google connecting these searches to blogs instead of inner pages? Oh, they are. Okay, this might warrant a blog, right? So now you're in the weeds, right? Now it's like the topic research, the in-depth briefing, the review of the SERP, and then creating something that is of high value. So blogs can be valuable, but you just want to make sure it's not like, we did 400 or 500 word blogs last month. Like, yes.
Right. Check off the list.
I actually find myself in a position more where we're telling the client, like, stop blogging. Okay.
Right.
Like, all you're doing is creating like loads of content that doesn't rank and no one goes to.
Right.
Right. And then there's this like, this opinion, which, you know, we kind of drink this Kool-Aid, that all you're really doing is showing Google, right, that users are not interacting with this
your
content.
stuff. Yeah.
Right? So how is this a
You
good...
have 100 pages that no one goes to. You probably suck.
How is this a good signal? So now you're actually down another rabbit hole, right? Now you're down the rabbit hole of like, should we consolidate content, right? Is some of it duplicate? Is some of it cannibalizing other content? Do we need to combine stuff? It's like you're kind of just creating another project down the line that you're going to have to pay for. So
I love that kind of what you said was like, okay, we type in the keyword or whatever it is, and then you see what Google is doing. What types of content is it linking back to? Because sometimes it'll be like a couple YouTube videos there too.
There you go.
You know, and like I'll click on those and be like, oh, okay, well they're pulling up YouTube videos first. They like YouTube videos with this particular, so maybe we should make some YouTube videos about
I
this
love
topic.
that example.
Yeah.
I love that example. So in the legal industry, it's less applicable, but if you take other things like, I don't know, like nutritional products, or I think like exercise equipment, different types of exercises, you always get YouTube videos,
Yeah.
right? So if you have that type of brand that's applicable to that, and you're a content creator, you do exactly what you just said. You review the SERP and you're like, this YouTube video is ranking. How can I make a better one?
Right.
Right. And maybe you still do the written content and you embed the YouTube video in it, and sure. But I mean, yeah, I think that's often an overlooked step. Like, what does Google show for these searches, right?
That's cool.
So like we had a client recently, and she said that she was paying for all this SEO with no juice, getting no love on it, just spending money every month, paying for words or whatnot.
Yeah.
What are some ways these attorneys are getting scammed by these D-level SEO companies?
Yeah, good question. And this is actually goes back to like my roots for the inspiration of rocket pilots, right? Because like there were these different scenarios I saw in the market, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about, right? So I think like if we use the word scam, which is, a little aggressive, but I think there's this common scenario where you have kind of a polished salesperson, right? But they don't really have deep expertise about SEO, right? And I'm really not throwing rocks at this person. Like I think they mean well, right? They wanted a sales job, they found one, right? Maybe it has a good commission structure. It appeals to their charismatic personality and stuff like that, right? But they don't really know what they're selling, right? And it's like, so, but to the attorney, it's delivered with a sense of confidence, right? It had a pretty deck and all that, and it was affordable, right? Maybe they reference some other results, I don't know. And then they get sold, right? And it's like, some of these attorneys are very vulnerable, right? Like they have a higher education, but like no one really taught them how to run their business, right? Maybe they learned that by going to work for someone else before they started it, but they certainly don't have deep expertise in digital marketing, right? So it's kind of, and that's just kind of a bummer, right? So those companies bring the whole SEO industry down, right? Another one I see that kind of, and again, I think these companies started it with good intention. I'm always gonna, put it like that.
Preface it like that.
Yeah, these proprietary content management systems, right? So they end up in them, and then they want to leave, and then they're like, wait, I don't really own my website, or I do, but it's painful if I migrate away, or you're not gonna give me all of the content. I don't think that is done with the best interest of the law firm in mind, right? And just saying those words, proprietary CMS, attorney's like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, I don't want to deal with my site. You're going to deal with it. You have a program. It's affordable. Looks good. Let's roll, right? Until it doesn't work out. So, yeah, it's challenging, for attorneys to kind of siphon through some of the crap that's out there. And let's be honest, 99% of it is junk,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, just how like, and what I love about what you sell expertise, but you sell expertise not only in a specific field, but also in a specific area. I help you in San Diego for this niche.
That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that really shows how pinpointed your expertise is versus you're trying to go national, and you don't really understand the national market, or it's like it's very big. You have to, you know what I mean? And that's how you're able to really deliver your results.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's narrow and focus, and then you get the reps in, right?
Right.
Keep doing it, and then you get to the point where it's like the level of confidence when we bring on a new client, like we know what it's going to take, so it's fun.
And do you work with clients in other cities and focus in those particular cities?
Oh yeah,
Or, yeah.
I mean, we have to, right?
Yeah.
So so in terms of like cities, so what we'll do is we'll come in, we'll do our assessment, right? They might have 1 offices, they might have 5 offices, right? So we're going to prioritize. Like, we're even going to take their current efforts and basically improve performance, right? So get them ranking in maps. Or what we've been doing recently, it's been super fun, especially in like bigger saturated markets, is we'll just tell them like, listen, it's not going to work. You're not going to rank here. And we have an example right now where it's like, it was a client in Houston and we're like, you're not going to rank your PI site in Houston for this budget.
Right.
The heavy hitters are there and they're dropping 25, 30 G's a month just on SEO.
Yeah.
Right. And hundreds of thousands a month on PPC.
Right.
Right. So what we do is we just go do the work and we'll find them a different office. We'll find them a city where they can penetrate if they go get an office.
Gotcha.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is genius.
We have a story right now where
Yeah.
we ranked a client number 1 in maps in 30 days. Now, I would never set that as an expectation.
Right.
It ain't gonna work in Houston. It'll work in Amarillo though.
Exactly.
That's crazy. And the fact that you're able to be honest about that to the client lets them know that like, hey, I'm not just in this for the money. Like we're trying to provide you results, you know?
Well, it was fun because we actually told this client,
Yeah.
we were like, listen, if you wanted to move your budget over from your Houston SEO budget to us right now, we would not take you on as a client.
Yeah.
And guys looking at me dumbfounded, like, what do you mean? Like, you're literally an SEO company for attorneys. Like, I'm like, I know, but I don't need that story.
Right.
This is what that story looks like. You pay us
These guys suck. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. 6 months later, didn't get any results. Like, you know, all that. Right. I don't need that story in my life. The story I do need is we found you a soft market. You're an ambitious law firm, an ambitious attorney. You're willing to participate. Right? Because you got to go do the whole thing. You got to go find real estate. You got to negotiate, sign a lease. We're going to be on your butt to get new reviews over there, right? This is a collaborative process.
Yeah.
But if you do that and you give us time, we will win over there. And then you will start getting new cases and you will love us, right? And then we can keep doing this. We can go find other cities. So
Yeah.
much more fun story than just getting a
Absolutely.
client and churning in 4 to 6 months.
Great story. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is so important, to, especially you do the same thing and we do the same thing as well, especially in these kind of service-based industries, is like the world is changing so fast, so quickly with social media and technology. It's like, okay, yeah, we do these things. We make videos, we do SEO, whatever it is, but it's not just checking these things off of the list. Like you said, it's like we assess the environment right now. Like, yeah, we make social media videos, but guess what? Next month, there's a whole other game. There's a whole other style. There's a whole other trend. There's a whole other way of doing things. And we're on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's like our strategy is having an evolving strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like that is our strategy.
And they need that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can't even name all the different formats and stuff for social media.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's always something new.
Yeah, Google's always popping up a new service, and it's like, oh, now Maps is the thing. We need to learn how to utilize this the best way.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So
And in your world, it's
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
There wasn't reels and stories.
Right.
Now
What
there's
what
all
hurts
that.
us is that we see attorneys still pouring money into these social media managing services where they're just making them little Canva templates.
Right.
And they're getting no love, no views, no engagement, and it's burning their money. And it's like, yo, you need to switch over to short form content, you know? And then we see a lot of attorneys, they're still making the most boring videos that no one would ever watch, and they're still burning their dollars.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, hire, like, we know what the viewer wants to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let us do it for you, and let's boost your engagement and give the people what they want.
But nobody wants a 20-minute boring video about a legal topic on social media.
Yeah,
Right?
they're,
No one's
all like,
watching that.
they're all like this. Hi, I'm Jeremiah from this law firm, and today we're gonna talk about this, and it's all boring and technical, and I'm like, dude,
Swipe.
like swipe. It's like you really gotta speak to people who's gonna hire you use language. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
How do you guys stay on top of like the trend and what? Because I know like who's the all-seeing eye as far as like, all right, now Google's evolving this, and now they're ranking this higher, and now this is this new feature. Like, how do you guys manage?
Yeah,
that?
I mean, we have an internal employee who's kind of, you know, he's kind of taken that under his wing.
Nice.
You know, so he's always managing all the different sites. You know, there's content directly from Google, and then big publishers, you know, Search Engine Journal and things like that. So, yeah, we've just made it as part of the routine to keep abreast of those updates. And one thing I have learned though is, you know, it seems like who gets impacted the most are the companies that are doing the kind of like borderline like black hat SEO.
Right.
Right. So they're doing that stuff. Right. And then Google comes out with an update and wipe, you know, all their clients lose rankings and stuff.
And that's why they're making those updates.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of those guys.
That's why they're making the updates. So if you're adhering to like, you know, expertise, authority, trustworthiness, like the EAT concept for content and all these things, and you're keeping your SEO above board, you're probably actually going to benefit more from these updates. Whereas the competitors of your clients who have any like shady SEO going on are gonna like
what's shady SEO?
Well, I would say first of all, normally it's like links, right? So you have like these link farms, spammy links, or these like PBNs, these networks where people create like hundreds of sites to like, you know, link to one another. People spinning up offices where they don't really have the office. People buying fake reviews at scale using bots.
One of our competitors, I'm not gonna say who it is.
Yeah.
Well, he's not necessarily. He's in a different niche actually. But you go on his their Google reviews. They have like 5,000 5-star Google reviews, and it's like you just tell they're straight bots.
Yeah.
But you don't know if you're just an average person. You go on there, you be like, oh my God, 5,000 people gave this guy
Just look
5
at that,
stars.
right?
Right.
Yeah, but then guess what? When you click on those profiles, when you start looking, you'll notice that most of those reviews, if they're fake, first of all, they won't have a profile picture. Second of all, they've only left one review. How convenient is that, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of tell because you can look at these reviewers' contributions, and it's like how convenient that 5,000 people had only left one review, and it happened to be on this account.
Yeah.
So I got something you guys will like this. So we have, and I would give him full credit, but I actually don't. I can't remember his name, but he goes by the sheriff of Google, right? So some of our clients have pointed this out to us that they'll be like, hey, you know, this company does not have these offices, or they have loads of fake reviews. He has some sort of direct line of communication with Google. We hire him, and boom, they all come down. So,
The sheriff. Call the sheriff. This guy's not legit.
the sheriff will get you. The sheriff is legit. You don't want to be on the sheriff's bad side. So he's an amazing resource to have in our back pocket.
Oh man, dude, we gotta meet the sheriff, man. That guy sounds like we gotta have the sheriff on the podcast.
Yeah, we might
that
have,
guy sounds like a badass.
Seriously.
Oh man, it's hilarious.
So like I'm assuming you guys do this, but like, so if somebody, when you do your initial assessment, right, and you're like, okay, like you're looking at different brand consistencies, and you have this, that. Let's say somebody just doesn't have all the things. How much of those services do you provide? Like, are you like, you need to create branding across your board, you need better imagery, you need to make sure your name is all the same. Do you help them get all the Google reviews they need? Like, how much do you offer in terms of that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, you know, like in my head, I work as like an SEO pro on this, right? So it's like local, technical, on page, right? Content, link building, right? Things like that. So it's kind of like depends on how you categorize those things, right? So some of the things you mentioned, like the brand uniformity to me is like under local SEO and like the citations. So yes, we do that work. Or we'll let them know and someone in their organization that has access and stuff. It just depends on what the client wants.
Right.
But if the client provides access, we'll do it. In terms of reviews, normally there's only so much we can do. We do use review management software, and we'll offer to the client, like, listen, if you want to, load up a database of past clients, we'll manage that for you. Right, we'll send out the review emails, the solicitations, right? Most of the time, clients will opt to do it on their own. So we become kind of more of this like consulting arm, right? Of like, hey, remember, just as an example, remember you have 3 offices, but this office is the focus right now. Okay, so we need reviews going there. So when you have closings, right? When, a file closes and you have a happy client, you're gonna give them money, right? That's when you ask for the review.
Right.
If they're coming into the office to pick up a check, there could not be a better time.
Right.
Right? If you're mailing it, use Connect or some of these tools out there, text it to them, right? So we're kind of just consulting them, but we're also like a little bit annoying, right? Because we'll be on them.
You need them to do that
we
work.
need them to do the work.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we will do our part.
Right.
This is your part, right? So, get those reviews. Let's build it up because it plays a role in rankings. And since often we're working with like a new location because we consulted them on that, right? We need the help. So
Yeah.
So how do you lay the pressure on your clients, be annoying, without pissing them off? Like, what's that fine line of being like, hey man, like you need to be accountable. We're here to keep you accountable. Versus the point where like, man, you're just stressing me out, man. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah. So the good
line?
part is we're dealing with people who they just made some sort of switch, right? Maybe they switched from another agency. They had to deal with that, right? That was time for them. They had to get us going on all, access to everything and kind of engage in this process. So typically when someone goes into a project like that, like they have kind of a winning mindset, right? So most of them are not going to do all of that and then retain us on a monthly retainer. That's a healthy investment. And then just be like, I'm giving up. So we just, it's a judgment call, right? But it's, it's emails, it's talking about it on review calls. And I think it's speaking the language to them. Like, hey, we are executing, everything is going well. We're happy with the trend lines in reporting, but there's a variable we can't control. We need your help, and it's holding us back. Reviews,
Yeah.
What can we do? Right? Is it you? Do you have a designee? Right? And eventually they'll say, yeah, no, you're right. Let's make it happen. So,
Are there any other tasks that are kind of on the client's responsibility outside of Google reviews that you are asking of them to do?
Yeah, there is. So another thing we do, and more often than you would think, is we recommend a name change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a name change with keywords in the name plays an integral role in Google Maps rankings. Right. So so we're having them update their names.
Like having the city in the name? Or
no,
like
not
what's
the
an
city.
example?
More an example would be like
Alphabetical?
XYZ accident attorneys, XYZ criminal defense lawyers. Right.
Keywords in there.
That's right. So now, of course, I got them working, right? Now they're going like fictitious name statement, so they have like a DBA, doing business as, right? And then again, it's back to like who's updating everything, right? Sometimes it's all of us, my team. Sometimes they do some of it. It's collaborative, but like everything needs to be updated before you update Google, or else Google will think you're just trying to manipulate the search results, and then somebody's going to call the sheriff. So I keep the sheriff on my team, not going against us.
I remember my friend, he owned a barbershop, and he opened it up before Google was a big thing. He named it 619 Barbershop. He just, that was the name he wanted. And it just so happened when Google started becoming a big thing, he would always rank like top barbershop, so he got a lot of business. He did it completely accidentally.
That's funny.
How important is, like you'll see like ABC this or 1, 2, 3 this, like how important is being like alphabetically, how important is that today?
It's one of those things where it's really easy for us to say it. Right? We're trying to rank you in maps, so change your business name.
Right.
It's like, some of these firms have been around 30 years, right? Sometimes they have 4 or 5 partner names in the name, right? You see that in law firms.
Worst. That's the worst.
It's just like, all right.
And they're always the most complicated names.
I know, right?
So we always preface the recommendation with this. We're like, listen, it's not lost on us, right, that there's more to a name change than ranking in maps, right?
How often do they go for it? How often do law firms say, okay, sure, change my name?
I would say if it fits this criteria, like if it's like the PI firms going after like the motor vehicle accident cases, like they get it that they want to rank locally, right? And they don't have that situation where they have like 5 names.
Yeah.
It's likely to happen, right? There are other instances where you know, we have some firms that have like multiple practice areas. And then it's like, it's going to be hard to do that, right? You do PI, family, and criminal. What am I doing here? You know, I'm going to stuff 3 different keywords in there. Probably not. So they do have to fit kind of a certain mold. But again, this kind of lines up with our ideal client profile, right? So a lot of times you'd be surprised, like they're really open to it. They want to be successful.
That's cool.
You know, and you know what? I'm going to take this as a chance to, like, when we were talking about, you know, the market and how there's these like below board operators out there. It's super frustrating, you know, because we as marketing companies, I feel we have a very like deep sense of responsibility to give good consulting advice to our clients, because you know what? They listen. They're listening to us to change their business name. That's crazy, right? So if you're some SEO company, some agency, and you have some, you know, crappy product and you're giving like bad advice, it has an impact. Not only, like, if you don't get them results, imagine the opportunity cost if they were working with a company that was going to get them results. I mean, it could be measured in the tens of millions of dollars, right? So kind of a bummer, right? I hope everyone steps their game up out there.
For real. So how did you get into SEO? Like, what was that journey?
So I was working for a super big agency, you know, multiple names by now, like Reach Local, acquired by Gannett. Now they're branded as like Local IQ, right? So I was kind of having that experience where I was the salesperson selling the product, and it was kind of like a slow transition where it was like, as the years went on, I noticed it wasn't really performing for my clients. So now I was not a salesperson. Now I was deep in the weeds, right? Doing the work with the account managers because I wanted them to be successful. Well, I couldn't face them, right? I know I was going to be the point of contact, and I didn't want to be the salesperson selling snake oil, right? So now here I am. Now I'm knee deep in PPC campaigns, SEO campaigns.
You started learning all the back end, everything.
Going way above my job duties. Right. And eventually I just had enough. I was like, you know what? If this $1 billion agency can't deliver and I can, and I can connect with clients, I'm just going to go do it on my own. Right. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And it was like, it was kind of the ethos, you know, it was based on all the things that pissed me off. You know what I mean? Let's just do the basics really well. Let's be honest, transparent, accountable. Let's communicate really well. And whatever we do, let's do it really well, right? And let's not do too many things, because if we do too many things, we're not going to do it really well.
Right, exactly.
That's how we operate today, 7 years later.
And what was the biggest struggle when you first went into business for yourself?
Yeah.
What was everyone has some type of struggle.
Yeah.
You know, there's always some rocky ground there in the beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
What were some of the things, like maybe you had some good mentors that helped you through it, or maybe what was that struggle and how'd you overcome it?
Well, I mean, there's many, right? Like you said, you know, nothing goes how you worked it out in your head.
Right. Yeah.
I think the first one was like niche identification. I had too many niches, right? So then it was like, you know, I'm trying to reach out to assisted living companies and addiction recovery facilities and law firms. And it was just like, that was just too much, right? So the learning there was to just simplify, go with the one that was performing the best. Law firms.
Is that something that you kind of figured out on your own, or did someone give you that advice?
God, that's such a good question. You know, I'm definitely like a consumer of content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I want to say like Jason Swink, who has an agency that's focused on basically consulting for other agencies. A lot of his content had that in there, so that probably played a role, you know, niche down further.
Yeah.
I think the other one is just like undervaluing the work. You know, it's like, it's kind of funny, like when I look back and I'm like, oh man, why did I have like a $500 SEO retainer?
Yeah.
What was I doing?
So much work for that 500.
But it's hard to say no when
Yeah,
you're first
yeah.
starting
In the beginning.
out. You know, the
we
bank
know.
account has zero revenue.
Right.
Someone wants to hire you. You're just excited,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you take the wrong type of business,
Right.
right? And then, but I think in the end, like, the journey is full of these learning opportunities.
That's
right?
definitely part of the learning process. It's taking on the wrong client, doing more work than you need to,
That's right.
losing money on the deal. But man, we just learned so much. We've been there.
That's really all you're doing, right?
Yeah,
You're learning. You're like, it's like costing you money to have clients.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but honestly, like if I was talking to like someone who is starting an agency right now, I don't know how much I would coach them off of that, right? Like you need the learnings, right? So whether you're going to undervalue the service or you're going to talk someone into just letting you do it for free and then sit down with them and get that feedback, that feedback is very valuable,
Absolutely.
right? You take that feedback and you go back and you tweak the offering. What was valuable? What did you not really value?
Right.
Hey, hypothetically, if I was charging you full price, what would this be worth to you? I'm not going to do that to you, right? Because you're one of my new clients. We're in this beta phase.
Right.
But does that look like $5,500, $7,500 a month? Like, let's talk about that, right? Because I don't know what's better than getting that type of direct feedback from your clients and going back and pivoting, right?
Yeah.
So
They're going to be real answers.
they're going to be real answers, right? So we need the black eyes.
Yeah, you gotta bump your head a few times, right?
Yeah.
And there's no other way really to do it besides bump your head, because if you overcharge, what I find even if you give away the service for free, you'll still find people still don't want to mess with you because they're like, well, if you're giving this away for free and no one else wants to mess with you, then maybe I don't want to mess with you too. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's the perceived value, right? When it's free.
Right.
So like even today, right? When we are starting a relationship with a new client, we do this market assessment and we assess their efforts. It's a loss leader, right? But we only charge $500. The reason it's not free is exactly what you said. I need to get the respect, right? So they need to at least reach in their credit card reach in their wallet, grab their credit card and make a small payment.
Right.
Right. So now it's like, okay,
Investment.
now there's some value. I paid for this. I can be on the same level as you. Whereas opposed to if it's like, you sound a little bit desperate if you're like, just let me do the assessment. We'll do it for free. It's like, it's like right. And when they see it, and I'm using my company as an example, but this applies in so many different instances. They see that if they would have paid full price, it would have cost a lot more, right? But it's okay to have loss leaders to start relationships.
I mean, we see attorneys kind of go back and forth with that too, like the free consultation or the paid consultation.
We do.
Yeah, and it's like there's benefits, I guess, to both. Some people they're fine with the free consultation. Some people are like, no, I don't want to deal with somebody who's not willing to pay this $100. Kind of weeds out the people.
Yeah, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
So on the civil litigation side, so on the the PI, it's always going to be a free consultation because they take the case on contingency. Right? So they're never going to charge. But you're right. I see that especially on family law. When they're like reluctant sometimes to be like, do I give a free consultation? Because how serious is that individual? What is the case value? Is it really going to pan out, right? As opposed to some, other firms will just say, take it, right? It's another person that we interfaced with. They may or may not be a client, but they might be in the future. They might refer us, right? Or, I see them try to get creative, like, can they do a little filtering on intake? Right. So it's a high net worth divorce. Yeah, free consultation.
Right. Yeah,
it's like
that's true.
Something a little smaller, an expungement for a criminal defense lawyer. Maybe they're like, don't know. Don't even know if I want that case, let alone give a free consultation. So yeah, it's tricky.
Do you guys ever work with law firms who are already working with like these lead generating companies?
Yeah.
Where they're like, I'm gonna deliver. You see it on Instagram all the time now.
Oh, right.
Mr. Law Firm, what if I told you I can deliver you 500 leads that are gonna sign up and da 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 da? Like, I don't know why every time I see that, I'm just like, this is bullshit.
Well,
every time, bro.
Yeah.
Plus, I know we know attorneys that have signed up. In fact, I've seen an ad, and then in the comment section, a client of ours commenting, I tried your services. You didn't deliver any of these results.
it was whack.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the more they promise on a social media platform, the less they're going to deliver. Yeah. Isn't that right?
Seems like it.
So
it's too good to be true.
We do. I mean, Man, I had this one guy in LA that had me go get a list of all of them, and he just went down the list trying them all, right? So I think with the lead gen in the attorney marketing world, unfortunately, most of them are not great products, right? There are some good companies. You know, Watkins Advertising is one of them. They're expensive, right? You pay more per lead. They have a lot of conflicts in markets, right? So they don't always have openings, right? But I think a law firm for us, right, that is also engaged in that type of lead gen, right, doing that is probably a good fit for us, right? It, provided they found a good company, right? Because again, that means that they care about their business and they're working these different angles.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I would also caution someone starting an agency that is going to take on really small clients, right? You can build a business around that, but if you find yourself selling SEO services to someone and they're like, "Hey, you're my only marketing," that's tricky.
That's actually a tall tale sign for us to find a client. Is if you're not taking your SEO serious, you're probably not doing all the other things to make your business successful, because they all sort of marry each other, right?
Right.
If you take SEO serious, you're going to take your branding serious, and vice versa. And it sounds like that's part of your your model, right?
Yeah, because if they're an omni-channel marketer, right, then it's like, oh, okay, so we're coming in handling this piece of the puzzle, right? But you have all these other things going on.
Exactly.
That's great. That's the signs of a mature law firm with a mature marketing program, right? As opposed to they're like calling you every day, hey, you know, Jeremiah, you're my only program. How's it going? Right. It's going to be difficult to service that market, and it's not. I don't mean it as a derogatory comment towards small companies, right? They need marketing support also, right? So if you're a solo practitioner, that's great, and there's ways for you to market your company, right? But if the agency's doing it, you just want to make sure that that's a good fit, right, for both parties.
If let's say you have a solo practitioner, someone who's on an up and up, right? They want to invest in their marketing, right? They don't have the funds to do it. What is the main source of marketing they should first invest in? Is it SEO? Is it lead gen? Is it content marketing? What is it?
No, so it's none of those things. It's actually their community. Right, because even the most mature businesses that have excellent marketing programs, their best leads still come from referrals, right? So if you're just starting a practice, it's time for you to hustle through your network, right? Your job, literally, is to take other attorneys to lunch, right? These attorneys that can refer business to you, that every once in a while, you know, they have a case come in that isn't up their alley, but they'll give to you. You need to know all of them. Right, like you should just be hustling, right, and talking to them about your service, why you're the one that they should refer to, and how you're going to take great care of them, right? Because that's going to cost your time, but it's not going to cost a substantial amount of outflow, right? It's not expenses, right? Your community can support you, right? So your friends, your family, you need to be loud about what you're doing, right? So you can get. That's right. Louder. Get the word out. And then every community has events, right? Get involved in the community, whatever that looks like for you, right? It's hard for me to tell you, right? If you're into cycling, that. If you're into your church, right? Your faith, that, right? So, and you need to start drumming up business from a grassroots perspective, right? And then I do think the lead gen, depending on how we define it, is interesting. And the reason it's interesting for someone with a small budget is it's easy to model, right? It's price per lead or price per retained case. I do like local service ads for people that are just getting started out, because if they can retain someone to get them to show up, it's very low risk, right? It's literally like, hey, $250 a call or a form submission, right? And then they can just do the math. Right? Like I got 10 of them. How many did I convert? And should I spend more there? Especially on the PI side, because like even when you're successful as a new PI attorney, cash flow sucks. Think about it.
And the startup cost, I mean, the initial investment.
That's right.
On these cases.
So you go get a good case and you're happy and you're like, fantastic, I'll get paid in 18 months. It's great, right?
Yeah,
You'd have all these expenses along the way.
Right.
Right. So, it's, you know, unless you're funded or you're the outgrowth of something where you have piles of cash, it's difficult to just jump into like the traditional digital SEO, PPC, you know, meta leads, YouTube ads, and all that stuff because you know, different for firms that have been around a long time.
Right.
Whole different conversation.
How important do you think content on social media plays a role in this whole mix?
Yeah, I actually think it's becoming more important, and
Yeah.
let me tell you why. So there's so many use cases where, you know, it's challenging for the law firm to succeed in SEO or PPC due to like saturation, right? Especially when you take like the smaller law firms. But what can they do on social media? They can make themselves stand out. They can be unique, right? And they can show their individual personality, and they can relate to people on a human level, right? So that's why I think if they can do it, align themselves with the right team, right? And have something creative on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and do it with consistency, right? Because it's kind of like starting a podcast, right? It's like you don't see the results right away, but when you're consistent, you get the brand awareness and
Exactly.
Get a compound effect.
Yeah.
Funny story, based on that, I have a client right now, criminal defense attorney in San Diego, posts pretty consistently on Instagram. One of her stories just went berserk. It got like 450,000 views.
Wow.
And she went from like a couple hundred followers to like 17,000. Why did it happen?
There you go.
I asked her, I'm like, what was different about that piece of content? Honestly,
She has
nothing.
no idea.
I just did it. I just kept showing
kept
up.
going.
I showed up and boom,
Exactly.
and it happened. So
That's what we-
consistency.
We preach
So
that.
I think it's important, and I think since a lot of law firms don't do it or don't do it with creativity, it actually is an untapped kind of marketing medium for them. You don't find that a lot in legal marketing.
Right. And what you said about like standing out and being unique, because like
Yeah.
with the SEO side, I mean, at the end of the day, you're really just looking at words on a page.
Yeah.
You were looking at links.
Another
on
car accident lawyer page.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's just link. Like, and we know how to use that. We've been using Google for years. We understand it. But I don't see your personality. I don't
No.
see how you talk. I don't see how you engage with people. I don't get a chance to like you or know you.
I agree.
I can trust you because you got 5 stars, you got all these things, and you're 10 blocks away from me. But you know what I'm saying? That's the whole other area when you're really making that decision of choosing someone that's going to really work for you.
I mean, we talked about it before, right? The user journey, right? Their client who does the search, sees them on maps, calls without even going to the website.
Right.
What has been established?
Right.
Yeah, it's a win for that law firm, but they don't know anything about you. They're not even going to speak to you.
Right.
It's going to be an intake
Right.
specialist, right? No, all right. So to what you're talking about, when they see that video, you know, it starts to build something. Maybe something you said, the lawyer said, resonated with them, right? It starts to build that connection. So.
Yeah.
How do you deal with conflict of interest? Like, do you only deal with one criminal law attorney in each city? Do you deal with, or do you, how do you juggle that?
Well, you know, we try to address that early on. And what I mean by that is like, you know, a lot of our, the way we acquire new clients is through outbound, right? So we have a full-time salesperson who is managing a list of the ideal client profile, different law firms across the United States, right? So he knows, right, where our current clients are and how they're performing. So he's not going to go intentionally try to create a conflict, right? It's like, hey, got another client here, but we're killing it in maps. Like, really? Out of all the like 30,000 firms, you called that one?
Yeah.
So we try to make an effort up front to be thoughtful, you know, but you'd be surprised. It really is not that big of an issue, right? Just because there's so many different, so many.
The abundance.
It really is abundant. You know, 50 states, how many cities per state? It's like, it's crazy. And then the different disciplines. So it's not been something that comes up very often, you know? And yeah, I mean, we'll have the conversation, right? If the law firm wants to, but it's not something that I'm getting cornered on about.
I think there's like over 100,000 personal injury law firms in the country, bro.
What I mean,
so many.
what I mean though is like, so you'll only have one personal injury attorney per each city or each town, right?
No, not necessarily. We would look at the circumstances, right? So if it's going to be like a small city, right, then perhaps yes, right? Maybe it can't accommodate another one. But if it's a bigger city and the population is large and we think they can both perform, and we know one of them is going to go hire a competitor anyways, I don't know what they gain by not having us, right? And then there's details. Like some might be more slip and fall focused. Some might be more like motor vehicle accident focused. Some might be doing well in maps and needs a better presence organically. Like there's moving parts, but we'll have the conversation, right? If the law firm is like, listen, here's a concern of mine, right? And then we're going to look at different variables, like the things I mentioned before, size of the city, available cases, size of the contract, right? If it's a smaller SEO deal, they're going to have a hard time negotiating exclusivity.
Yeah. Exclusivity comes with a cost.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, listen, if it's a bigger deal and it's a substantial relationship, yeah, we're happy to chat.
Does anyone ever ask for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did it with a larger contract in Nevada.
You're like, yeah, happy to do it. Here's how much.
We want to be fair. But yeah, it's a give and take.
Yeah. So after 7 years, right? 7 years of business.
Yeah.
I guess what's like the next step for you guys? Like, what are you seeing? What's the vision? What's the next goal? Where do you want to take everything?
Man, I want more of these feel good stories where the client ranks and they're getting the cases and they're super happy because it creates satisfaction everywhere, right? Me, the client, my team who put in the hard work, did the work and then gets that, positive feedback. So it's a little bit more of the same. You know what I mean? Like I have like this formula right now and I just want to like triple down on it and just keep doing it. I know one thing we're super focused on is growing the outbound sales team. So we'd like to see that substantially larger so we can just help more law firms, achieve their goals, right? And then, I'm excited for the future. We're staying on top of, what's happening and, we want to be at the forefront of that, right? We have AI in the mix. We have Google that's coming out with their new SGE experience. It's going to be this updated SERP, right? I think people are scared of it, but I think the SEOs who understand that are all of a sudden going to become one of the most valuable companies around. Yeah. Right? So people are scared of the unknown, but it's not going to be unknown forever, right? Right. There's going to be pros and cons associated with it. We don't know exactly what those are, but you said it best earlier. You're in the business of evolving, right? So that's all we're gonna do. Yeah. We're gonna evolve with it and adapt, right? So I think the future looks pretty fun. That's awesome.
So what kind of advice would you give to some up and comer who wants to get into the SEO space? How would you advise them to not be one of these below SEO guys? Yeah. What can they do to be an expert like you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Listen, I think, first of all, it's action, right? I think people starting new businesses, they spend a lot of time in their own head thinking about it, writing business plans, mapping things out in Asana, mind maps, whatever they're using. So you got to just do it and you have to just get started, right? The mistakes are impossible to avoid. So don't let them frustrate you. Instead, whatever you want to call it, have a little like post-mortem session, right? Learn from them, right? Because learned experience is literally the best teacher in life, especially for growing a business. We talked about mentors earlier. I don't know that I have like a specific mentor, but I have people that I collaborate with. A friend of mine is the CEO of a competing company. But guess what? We're pretty open with each other because we believe in abundance. And I think anything I share with him, probably not going to hurt me. And he feels the same way. So we both get more by sharing. Yeah. So make friends. Make friends with people that have been there, right? It could be people that have just ran businesses successfully, or it could be, creating that community with other agency owners. In terms of doing it in a above board format, well, just think about your values, right? I mean, is that really what you want? Like, do you want people to say behind your back that you have, you operate your business in a way that's shady and you're not proud of that, right? If you're having that type of problem with yourself, that internal conflict, I mean, you have a little soul searching to do, right? But what people say about you matters, right? Especially when you're trying to grow your company.
Yeah.
So they're even, there's this guy that owns, it's called the Savannah Bananas, and it's a minor league baseball team in Savannah, Georgia. I think his name is Jesse Cole, and I watched him speak at a CRISP event, and it was really awesome. He came out in a bright yellow suit, and he had a failing baseball team. And the way he turned it around is he created, it's weird to use the word fans because that sounds like the people that, attended the games, but they're fans of the brand, right? Raving fans, and they sell out every season. It's difficult to get tickets, so he has this community, right? So when you think about it, like, you can even have people that speak negatively behind your back, leave crappy reviews online, or you can create fans. And fans, man, you can't even calculate what they'll do for your business, right? I have a raving fan, who I just sent a substantial amount of monetary value and gifts to because he's been an integral client for me, right? We have a relationship where he has good business acumen. He talks to me about my business. We've killed it for him. So when a prospective client wants to talk to an existing client, who do they call?
Yeah.
And what does he do?
Raves.
He raves. Right. He's a fan. So think about that. You want haters or you want fans that can help you grow your business exponentially.
Yeah.
Man, that was dope, man.
Yeah, and that just comes from doing great work and just being, having integrity in what you're doing and truly believing in what you're doing, and your intention is to create this amazing result for somebody.
And then at the end of the day, like, it will give you a sense of confidence, right? And I really mean it, though. I don't mean you just telling yourself that, oh, our product is good. No, when the self-belief is really there, sometimes when I'm talking to a prospective client, right, I know I have a soft market. I know this is such a genuine opportunity for them. I think it comes off because I feel like they're doing themselves a disservice if they don't do this. Right. Even if they were it didn't work out with you, but we did that, I'd be like, cool. I found a way to service you. I feel good about that. I hope you hire us, but there may be other existential variables or something. So yeah, that confidence will ooze, right, when you do good work and you believe in it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Man, well, that was great, man.
You gave so much game.
So much value.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Let the people know where they can find you, website, social media, where they can apply to become join the sales team potentially.
Yeah, there you go. So most obvious place is rocketpilots.com. That's our main asset where you can find the site, learn more about us. I would say I'm most active on LinkedIn as a social media platform. So happy to connect and engage with people there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Man, this has been another episode of the Get Louder podcast. We out.